Hi, I'm Floyd Teeter, the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator for the South Jordan, Utah North Shore stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If this is your first time with us, welcome. You may want to check some of the prior videos in order for this one to make sense. If you're a returning visitor, we're glad you're back. This is our second video on food storage. As you may recall from earlier videos, food is a big consideration in preparing for the emergencies we're most likely to face here in Daybreak. Now, the first presidency has encouraged us to store food for emergencies. But the thing is, as I've mentioned before, food storage seems to be a big stumbling block for many of us in our emergency preparedness journey. It's expensive, it requires space to store, and the size of the job is so discouraging if you're starting from scratch that many of us stumble on this point in our emergency preparedness journey and just give up altogether. It's a whale sandwich, but the best way to eat a whale sandwich? One bite at a time. Nobody is suggesting you build up an entire food storage program for your family this very minute. Let's take it incrementally, a bite at a time. We start small, we work our way up, and we follow the church guidelines to do it. The church recommends three elements to your food storage program. Your emergency pack, 72 hours per person, so that's 9 meals per person. Short-term food supply, which builds up to 3 months per person. And then the long-term food supply, which is 1 year per person in your family. We talked in a prior video about food for your emergency packs. Today, we'll be talking about the short-term food supply, 3 months per person. So first, let's talk about what we mean by short-term food storage. It's intended to help with short-term emergencies, job loss, financial emergencies, shortages, think toilet paper and COVID-19. Any type of short-term disruption, or to be honest about it, when we're just too busy or lack the energy to get to the grocery store that night for that one thing we forgot. Your grandma may have just called this a well-stocked pantry. In my part of the country where I grew up, we called it making a trip to the root cellar. This is food your family eats every day. Uh, don't try to change up how your family eats as you work up your short-term food storage. Go with what you're eating now. Typically, the food we're talking about here has a short shelf life, anywhere from 6 months to 5 years. And the trick is here to build up a surplus and then rotate. Eat the oldest stuff first. So before you dive into this, some considerations for you. Time. How much time do you have? Are you cooking from scratch? Or are you using box mixes? How much time do you invest in preparing a meal? Where are you going to put it? All this food storage, where's it going to live in your home? Preferences. What does your family like to eat? Again, this is not the time to change up what they're eating. So you need to know what they like to eat. Finances. Can you knock this out in a single Costco run? Or will you need to build up over time? And then, of course, special dietary needs. Anybody with special needs like allergies, babies, or diabetics, we have to be sure to plan for them. So I'm going to suggest to you a couple of steps here. Step one, plan before you buy. Make a meal plan. Could be a week, could be 2 weeks, whatever works for you. And again, I'll suggest changing up anything in the way your family eats now. Uh, when you dip into that food storage program, it's typically a time of stress, not the time to be changing the way your family eats. So maybe instead of a meal plan, this might be a meal tracker where you simply keep track of what you eat over the course of a couple of weeks and use that as your plan. Again, whatever works for you. When you finish off your meal plan, do the math. How much of what stuff do you need to keep you and your family eating normally for another 3 months? And then step 3, once you know what you need, where will you store this extra food? In your pantry? What about your basement? How about your garage freezer? Under your beds? There's a lot of storage space under those beds that we often forget to consider. Figure it out before you buy. In my home, we use a combination. We've got some in the pantry, we've got some in the basement, and then I keep some in the garage freezer. Your combination may vary, but don't hesitate to use some combination of these to get the food storage space that you need. Now, a word about financial considerations. Some of us can afford to just gather a 3-month supply in a single Costco run, and some of us cannot. For those of us who can, what are you waiting for? Get on it. Make your meal plan, figure out your space, know what you need, go down to Costco and pick it up. For those of us who cannot, start incrementally and build up. Buy a little extra with each grocery store trip and build up to a week supply, then a 2-week supply, and so on until you have 3 months. The trick here with building up incrementally is each time you go to the grocery store, buy a little more than your family will eat before your next trip to the grocery store. That's the simplest way to do it. And now another word for those of us who are lousy at planning, who frankly don't want to put the brain power or can't put the brain power into it, don't have the time, don't have the energy. Please give me instructions for how to build a short-term food storage program. So I'm going to recommend some extra reading for y'all. Any one of these 3 books, or frankly all 3 of them, I'll leave in the comments below. I'll leave links to all 3 of these books. Any of them will take you through building a very effective short-term food storage program. So they give you approaches, they tell you how to do it, they give you suggestions on meals. It's pretty cool. So you might want to check out one of these, or might want to check out all 3 of them. Now, obviously, I'm not going to cover everything about food storage in this particular video. There's just not enough time. But the goal was to get you thinking and give you some motivation to get you started. And I hope we've done that. This concludes our 2nd chapter on food storage. 1 more to come, long-term food storage. So until next time, be smart, be safe, and be ready.